I want to talk about POAs, power of attorney. And Nicholas, you can help me with this. Most people have qualified money.
Yeah. Pretty much almost all their retirement assets, qualified money. Yeah.
And I go back to, one of the most dangerous things we do every day was we get in a car and go somewhere. And there's wrecks all the time. And I was driving on the highway recently, and it was going through New Orleans, just headed up towards Mississippi. And it's just like, oh my God, there's so many crazy drivers, people zooming through, cutting between cars and all. I said, if they realized how cars don't like to be bumped, and then you bump somebody or you get bumped, neither of you probably know how to handle that situation to get the car back stable. You're going to overreact, and then it's probably going to be spinning or tumbling, and death could be coming. Or really bad injury from that. So we do those dangerous things. And here's where I'm going with that. Where's most of our money? It's qualified money. You get put into a coma. Can your wife, Nicholas, go say, well, I need to turn on some income from that IRA?
Well, because
or that 401k.
Since my family has engaged Wes's firm, my wife can. Yeah. Because I have a power of attorney,
yeah,
but
if you don't have that, what can you do?
You're in trouble.
No. How does the wife get access if you don't have documents that gives her the right in certain situations? You have to die.
Yeah.
Right there. So that's where, and even if it's just you and prior to death, is somebody needing to help you and handle things. So I come back to the power of attorney. So tell us about that document and how that can help in those situations that come up where we might not have the capacity, but we're still alive. But stuff might be done with our qualified money, like IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, Roth money. That's all qualified accounts.
Sure. So the best way to look at a power of attorney is more or less a contingency plan for the unexpected. You're still around, maybe briefly incapacitated, maybe longer. Maybe you have, not a car accident. Maybe you have early onset dementia. Maybe you have Alzheimer's. Things that sort of come and go, and you have moments where you're lucid and you can make your own decisions. But for the most part, you really can't be trusted, for the long term. And what this document does is it contemplates that exact situation by allowing someone to step in and make those decisions for you. So that's sort of the gist of it. But as it applies, I think, to the work that we do together, right? It's a seamless transition on the majority of your assets. Most of your money is going to be tied up in qualified money. We know, after talking for years and years, about how tight regulations are on these things and how focused custodians are on compliance and making sure that all these dots line up before we grant access to money. Nick and I have been working on a case where we've got so much red tape. For months, and it's one thing after another after another. Now, look, we've stuck with it and we're at the end of it. But the point there is to just underscore that they are serious about compliance. And so having that power of attorney becomes a necessity. And, you have options too. We talk about the onset of an event triggering that power of attorney, and most are set up that way. They're set up such that as long as you can make your own decisions, you will. Others, however, are set up such that as soon as the ink is dry, as soon as you've signed, someone's got that power of attorney. And there's a big distinction there, right? Someone can go in, submit that document, and work on your behalf right away. For some scenarios, that's appropriate. For some scenarios, that's okay. For others, you definitely want to avoid that. So, it's worth a discussion to sit down and figure out which one's right for you. But there's really not much of a debate when you're considering whether your assets are tied up in qualified money, whether you actually need the document. At the end of the day, the answer is yes. The answer is
I
yes.
think everybody needs the document. I think it's really important, and some people might not understand to this effect. And I was looking at a scenario not long ago, going back through notes of conversation, that somebody became unhappy with us, and it was a daughter of a client, basically unhappy because she wanted to handle and do stuff, and we wouldn't talk to her about it because she has no right to it, and we are under rules that we can't violate. And the reason I mention that is because it would take a power of attorney, whether it's an active one or a springing one. What's the scenario? We need to see the document that gives you the right to do that. Couples may not understand this as well. Like, wife calling up, yeah, and they're both aware of Fred's money being with us, but she calls up and says, I'm a little uncomfortable with the risk now. I want to make some changes. Well, she can't make changes unless that's already been authorized and agreed upon. And it might even take a POA to do so. So this is something we do together now, is when families come on board with us, one of the things we want to have done, and they might not have done a will or done anything, but there's a few that's already done this. But one of the things is part of people becoming clients with our firm at Gregory Ricks and Associates, the Total Wealth Authority, we're going to say, we got this. We're going to get you set up with a power of attorney, and that's what you're helping us with, to just get that document done. If they want to do other work, that's between you and them. But we really want to get this handled to solve those scenarios I mentioned and more. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's the best way to approach it. Attorneys oftentimes, I at least see it this way. We're either solving problems after they've happened, or we're preventing them from arising. And in this case, we're doing the latter, right? We are game planning ahead of what could potentially be a real significant issue. Having money that's tied up, that's frozen, simply because someone has lost their capacity, can be devastating, especially if it's actively managed money. Think about money that needs to come out of the market, or that needs to go in, right? Or that just needs to be shifted so that it's better used for the long-term benefit of the client. So, you're hitting on all the right marks, right? You have to come in and understand that if we're all going to be in this together and we're trying to put out the best product, the best service for everyone here, this is going to enable us to put our best foot forward, to give us the best shot, no matter what the circumstance is.
Yeah, I think it's really important. That is game planning ahead of time. And it also gets people to understand the landscape that we have to operate in. And if these things come up, or somebody becomes unhappy because they can't dig into their mom's situation, or the spouse wants to make changes, well, we're going to have clarity on how all that works, because there's a document that addresses that. But I'm also worried about that emergency where, like, oh my gosh, we can't get to the money that we need in this situation. So we're going to help there and give clarity, which leads on to other conversations that hopefully encourages them to get other things documented.